Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another live episode of Jacob's Ladder. I'm your host, Jacob Israel, and we have quite a storm to get into today. The storm has come. I hope that you're buckled up for this one. I have a lot to get into. We have a lot to discuss. It's been a minute since we've done a live show. I see everybody's here. Started off right by letting me know you can hear me okay and smashing that thumbs up. We know everybody likes these shows because they're very revealing and they're a lot of fun. And they're going to give you a lot of encouragement. It's going to be something else. Of course, right now, this storm that is barreling down on Florida is it's got a lot of people very concerned. Got me concerned. Thank goodness that Grandma Marie is here on Long Island because she lives in Florida and she's been visiting. So thank God that that's okay. So her stay is going to be a little bit longer, which is like, this is good news for us, but really not so good news for everybody else. So we're going to kind of keep things in prayer. But this storm that there you have Into Thin Air. You could follow him on X. He's a great dude. He's doing such a great job covering stuff. You could follow him out. But this is one of his slides, just to kind of give you an idea of how big this storm is and how stressful it is. And it's interesting because it's happening in the literal world, where there's also another storm that's happening in the, we'll say, the political world, or the world at large that we all like to speculate about. When I saw that name, Hurricane Helene, a little while ago, the first thing I thought about was Troy. You remember Helen of Troy? And people are going to say, oh, well, that's Helene, is not Helen. But Helene is the Romans, the Romans version of it. And we are in the Roman Empire. So this is the Romanized version of Helen. Helen, who is known as the one that kind of started the war that actually brought about something called the Trojan Horse, which is the enemy is kind of bringing in a gift, kind of to make peace. You think the war's over. You think it's all good. Everybody's going to be fine. Next thing you know, you got something at your doorstep. Oh, look, it's for you. Hey, you want free speech? Come on, here you go. Come on in. And they bring it in. That's the end of Troy. But let's talk about the literal storm, because I don't want to make it seem like I'm minimizing the effects of this stuff. Scary. Weather is scary, and you never can be too prepared. So you should probably have, food and water on hand and kind of have stuff together just in case, because at any instant something can happen. We just had like a weird earthquake, I heard, in New York. So I didn't feel it. I did feel something shaking at one point, but I thought it was just me. It was at the gym this morning. Maybe that's what it was. Interesting. Hurricane Helene, they're saying that it could be up to a Category 5. Now, I'm hoping that these projections from Cat 3 to Cat 5 are just something that are going to go bye-bye. I'm hoping that it's not anything that's going to, keep people up at night. It's already kind of scary. The winds were 130 mile an hour winds if you're Category 4 to 155. And they're talking about like this kind of a storm surge, which is, it's brutal. I mean, 20 foot high waves or something, out of control. Way too much for me. I get scared when it just rains a little bit. I'm not going to be, I'm definitely not going to be looking forward to 20 foot high storm surges. Let's take a look. It can get to something like this, and that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. Hopefully we don't have to stress too much about this. Hopefully that this isn't what we're going to be seeing in the future. I mean, I feel for these people, but I can't get away from the fact that Helen, the storm, I can't get away from the two of them kind of coming together serendipitously. Is that the way you say it? I can't I feel like there's more to this story. You know, when these people are being named, when these names are these storms, they come out. It's a strange thing. Helen of Troy, Hurricane Helene intensifies to Category 2 ahead of landfall in Florida. They're saying that it could be unsurvivable 20-foot storm surge. Scary. We've been down this road before, though. A lot of times people like, you know, because it gets clicks and it gets people looking. You tell everybody that this is going to be 20-foot high waves, and next thing you know, they're playing movies of like the end of days in their head, and they're thinking like these huge tsunami waves. It could happen. But I'm more concerned with the wave that's going on behind the scenes, where people are being brought to justice. I feel like, and I could be being a little silly here because I am a writer, I feel like perhaps there's a reason why a while ago I did this show called Bombshell News. Trojan Horse discovered the truth will be revealed. So this video that I did was, 3 years, 1 month, and 10 days ago. Danielle always tells me, she says to me, she goes, will you stop with the numbers and the times? It freaks people out. I said, yeah, but to me, it's interesting. You know, I find it interesting that these things happen the way they do in the timing they did. I just find it interesting because the Trojan Horse was something that I said was coming. And if you take a look at the thumbnail, you can see that there's the pillow guy. And he's holding on to a laptop. And that laptop we know is connected to, well, Biden, Hunter Biden. You know, so I kind of thought to myself, Hurricane Helene, and then I wrote prophetic update. Because, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's a prophetic update, but the word prophecy just means, you know, the testimony of Christ. So it's really just me testifying my faith. Little update. Hurricane flooding. See, this is the thing. Hurricanes are known to uproot things, unbury things. How many people here remember when the great storm took over and just New Orleans just wiped it out? How many people remember that? It was terrible. There were literal graves that were coming up. They were popped up. Dead bodies were literally floating on the water. It was like the storm comes in and it uncovers all of that stuff. All the skeletons in those closets you've been keeping. So I see like these two things coming together, and I find it to be very interesting. Very interesting because, of course, I do this video. So I think to myself, I say, I bet you we start hearing of some people that are corrupt and stuff coming out. And guess what happened, right? Because this was September 22nd. Guess what happened? We got a slew here in New York. The mayor, Eric Adams, probably heard about him. Is there anybody in charge that isn't just a corrupt, bankrupt person who's like abusing people? As it was, he had allegations about, I guess sexual harassment back in the day. He was into the crystals, Eric Adams. You know who I'm talking about, the New York mayor? Danielle. This morning I was telling her, I said, Eric Adams, he got indicted. This is a big thing. I said, I was waiting for something like this to happen with this guy. And she's like, who's he? Who's he? She's like, this is pretty sad that I don't even know. It's like, you know what? We have other things to worry about. Thank God she doesn't know about this guy, this clown. I shouldn't call him a clown. This secret clown. Because it turns out that he's kind of maybe, connected to like secret societies and all that stuff. We'll get into it. Why don't we get into it now, right? Why don't we get into it right now? Let's just take a look at this right here. This is from him from a while ago. I did this video in 2023, and I said, Shakeup's coming, right? And you'll see the grimace in the background. It's interesting, grimace. I did a whole series on the grimace, but who's grimacing now? Eric Adams, right? But if you look at that, it says, we want your homes. That's because back then with the crisis that was going on, he was saying, maybe we need you to open up your rooms and stuff like this. He's done some weird things. Okay, he gave P. Diddy the key to the city. P. Diddy, that's right. Thank you, Debbie Gilbert, and thank you for anyone who gave me a super chat. If I miss you, I'll catch you back later. Everybody that's here, thank you for coming. It's just, you're going to enjoy this because we're going to start to see some really bad actors being brought to task. It's going to be, I'm telling you, the flip is here. You know, I've been saying this for a long time. I said, if you're a good, upright, moral, standing person, you're going to like the change. But if you're not, it's not going to be good because come hell or high water, God's going to correct the world. And it's happening. It's happening. Well, this guy's being corrected, and he may even share a cell with Diddy. He gave him the key to the city. Can you believe that? Gave this monster the key to the city. I'm sure he knew about Diddy. He actually asked for the key back after, all the stuff came out about him. That's by the way, that's P. Diddy dressed as the Joker. Why is this interesting? Well, because we've been talking about, the Joker for quite some time. We've been talking about all of this stuff. Hurricane Helene is the Romanized version of Helen. And we're in. How are we in, by the way? You'll take a look. Let me just blow this up so you can take a look at this. This is an interesting little tweet. It was a tweet back then. Take a look at that right there. Twitter is both a social media company and a crime scene. Whoa. That's foreboding. Right? That gets you a little, gets you a little freaked out. You know what's more interesting? Is the fact that he retweeted that just recently. That's right. He retweeted it. Just out of the blue. Just what he gave a little ... Here's what I wrote. At the same time, you take a look at this. Let me take a look at, let me pull this out of the way. At the same time, he's doing this. My goodness, it was right after, I was talking about how, we're going to have that moment. The Trojan Horse is going to come. These hurricanes, if you will, are going to reveal all of the stuff that's been hidden. And it's happening. It's happening. How is it happening? Now, am I telling you that I think Elon Musk is he's like that biblical King Jehu? Does anybody remember him? I've talked about him a lot. God decided that things got too corrupt, and he's like, you know what? He went to the prophet, told the prophet, he goes, go find Jehu. You go tell Jehu he's going to be the ruler. He's going to be in charge of things. Jehu was like a really smart businessman. He had probably his own army. He was a great businessman too. Sometimes you think of someone like Donald Trump as that character too. You'd think that he'd be that character as well. But really, what Jehu does, this biblical king, is once he takes over, he invites all of the really corrupt, terrible, perverse people into one place. And he says, come on in. It's free. You'll be able to say whatever you want. Free speech. It's good. We'll meet. We'll talk. And then he ends up basically killing them all. Yeah, he brings all of the people that were literally the enemies of God. And God says, I'm not saying Jehu was a good guy. He basically wipes out all of his enemies. And they honestly thought that they were going to be safe. Now, why am I talking about this story now? Back then when I wrote and said, we are in the Trojan Horse, and you see that, you think to yourself, well, maybe today, you tell me, Dink, thank you for the super chat. You tell me if you think that maybe we've been in, and it's like a thing where all of this evidence and all this stuff has been gathered over the years, and here's all the data now, and guess what? Now, some people are going to say that there's no way. There's no way that, he's this guy, he's going to protect them and everything else. I don't know. I don't know. Lisa Gordon says, thank you for the super chat. Lisa says, I think Trump is Jehu. And he could be. Sometimes, a lot of people like, oh, he's a high-ranking Freemason, which he may be. But I like the fact that if you take Samson and you mix around the words, you get Mason. It's weird because a lot of these people that are in charge, they're like Masons. Eric Adams is one of them. He became like a master Mason, and it's wild. He became a master Mason exactly 1 year before he was indicted to be this corrupt, terrible person. Could it be Elon? Could he be the one? Could he be the guy that kind of is, I don't know. Is he like perfectly planted? He's walking around with, how he has to wear the black hat. He always has to have like the black cowboy hat. He's got the black MAGA hat. And he wants to shorten it to, I guess, MAG, Make America Great. Not like again, just make it great. And it's Bearded Star says, it sounds like the board game called Mousetrap. I know. I watch this show sometimes, and you see these people, they build alliances with each other, and they act like they're friends, but none of them care about each other. And it's all about power, and it's all about gain, and everything's about corruption. And that's the day that we're in. And it seems to me like these people are going to get their due. Some people give me a little bit of a hard time when I pick on certain people. Like when I pointed out that, Mr. Jones, 3 days before he was, cut off of every platform, 3 days earlier, I did a show where I had a thumbnail of every platform and him getting, cut off of, and said that he would be the real cause of the real censorship. It's kind of like, the straw that breaks the camel's back. We're going to use you as an example to make sure that other people don't talk. Now, that may not be the case, okay? That may not be the case, but I have a feeling if they are corrupt, and I'm going to say this out loud, if they are corrupt, because I've been saying it for a couple of years now at least, I think that the truth is going to be revealed. And this guy who's got the schmoozy eyes for the Prime Minister of Italy, look at that. Isn't that sweet? Doesn't that? I don't think that they're like romantically involved, but this was all the buzz. Did anybody catch all this stuff with Elon? He gave out. Now listen to this. Listen to the timing of this. Okay? Because I take everything and I like to I put it on I give it a little spiritual spin, if you will. He gave her, the Prime Minister of Italy, and I'm down with the Italians. Oh, hey, I'm half Italian. I miss my nanny so much. The Global Citizen Award. And the two of them together, they, do you remember their first meeting when they got together? They were like laughing, and Elon was making her laugh, and you could tell she thinks the world of this guy. Look at that one picture to the right. Everybody deserves to be happy. Everybody deserves to be happy. I'm telling you something. Listen, today I put on X. The first thing I put on X is I said something like, if you didn't tell your wife or your spouse how much you love them and how grateful you are for them, then you should do it now. I mean, we really do need to take stock of how blessed we really are. And the people in our lives, if you want to have like a better relationship, you need to treat them better. You need to water the plant if you want it to grow. You got to feed it. When we see stuff that's not working for the plant, like the dead stuff, the dead brand, you got to pull it away. Romance. We need to get back to romance. I'm not saying Elon and the Prime Minister has inspired me, but I will say that the award has. A Global Citizens Award? Really? Maybe we're about to be rewarded for being someone that's good. Maybe we're about to be rewarded for doing the right thing instead of the wrong thing. Maybe after all that we've endured, now that we see all of these, the stories are breaking, a lot of people are getting put through the fire. Trump's one of them, by the way. There's now an 180-page paper that DA dude got, and he's like, After the 2 years, he's gonna bring it home. And I just said to everybody, I said, I hope that whatever happens, it keeps you keep calm. Keep calm, all right? It's okay. We're gonna be okay. I don't want people to go crazy. It seems like I've worried for a while that crazy was gonna be the direction they were heading. And it seems like crazy is what has taken over today. When you have, the most powerful and the wealthiest man in the world posting the movie The Joker and connecting it to one side of the aisle in politics, which is what Elon did on September 24th, because the news was breaking that I guess Democrats inspired the guy who came after him. But he compared him specifically to the Joker. Now we're going to dig into some really deep waters, and this is where it's going to get interesting, really interesting. Because, go figure, 550 days ago, or exactly 18 months ago, I did this little video called Mass Delusion. Is the joke on us, and is the punchline coming? And you'll see up top right, the thumbnail, shared psychosis, where I compared, of course, the madness that we're seeing today. And I said, oh, could that be it? And why did I say these things? Well, because first of all, they filmed Joker 2 on the steps of the courthouse where Trump was. Just the whole fact that, I did like show after show about this not too long ago. Let me play you a clip of this. It makes me feel like things are going to be okay. It makes me feel, here we go. All right. Just take a quick listen, and let's hope that blow your ears off. And here we go. The number 2, the follow-up, the sequel, is going to have Lady Gaga playing Harley Quinn, which is, Margot Robbie played Harley Quinn in the last couple, Suicide Squad. The James Gunn, who has all those, I don't know if you know anything about James Gunn, but he's like a celebrated director who had to delete something like 30,000 disgusting, perverse tweets about underage, boys and weird, in its comedy. And this is God is doing something. He's bringing correction. You're going to see it. There's such a major shift going on in the world. I don't know if you've noticed. There's such a major shift going on in the world. Things, the pendulum swung. It swung too far to one side. So now it's going to be course corrected. And unfortunately, it's going to be course corrected very, very hard. I mean, it's going to be tough over the next year and a half. I'm pretty sure about that. So it looked like there were protests erupting, which is ironic because everybody thought that because of the Trumpster. And of course, we've talked about the Trumpster, and we talked about the trial with Stormy Daniels in New York. This is going down right now. Well, it was going down. They were filming the Joker. Now, guess where they're filming it? They're filming it literally at the same building where the Trump thing's supposed to go down. Isn't that nuts? That's mental. Looks like the media, all they do is speak curses over us. That's it. That's all they do recently. So, of course, when you got the Joker, and people, I guess, the Joker was arrested because of the last film. And, of course, everybody was protesting, trying to get the Joker out. Thousands of protesters gathered at the courthouse steps, chanting for freedom for their embattled hero. Police kept watch as passions flared and voices roared. Squad cars and television trucks encircled the commotion. It's a scene New York City authorities have been bracing for as prosecutors considered an indictment against President Donald the Trumpster, who had invited followers to rally on his behalf. But on Saturday, it was just a movie shoot. Isn't it all a movie, people? Isn't this all a movie? Haven't I said that? But madness is everywhere. Madness. Men's hearts failing themselves for fear. Sound thought going bye-bye because they've just been polluted with so much. There have been, like, some people have said, massive military-grade psychological operations have been just on the entire world to get everybody to do something. And most of the world did something. And now they're doing the same thing. They're trying to keep us in chains and fetters. Protests that erupted, they were not because of Trump, but they were because of the Joker. The title of it is, I'm going to probably pronounce this wrong because I don't know how to read, especially that French stuff or whatever it is. Folie à deux. But it means shared psychosis. Shared psychosis. But it's not great because everybody's being fooled. Everybody's being fooled. And a lot of people are buying right into it. A bunch of nonsense today. Mass psychosis. That's the reason why the movie's coming out. How about them apples, huh? I mean, how do you just ignore that, right? It's like, I mean, and then here you have Elon, and he's comparing the whole thing to the Joker. Just weird, wacky and wild. So it's either like, okay, everything that's happening, if you take a look at it, you can kind of see where it's going. Jesus said this. He said, you can tell the weather. You could say, okay, tomorrow's going to be a nice day or tomorrow's going to be a bad day by how the sky is. If you're like tapped in and you're looking at things the way they're going and you start to see things and then a little voice in your head says, maybe you should question why that's coming out now. Like, why that movie? Why is it called Shared Psychosis? And then you have these little coincidences on the steps of the courthouse of Trump. Come on. There's something going on. Either that or it's just, crazy coinky-dinky doos. But it gives me hope because it kind of tells me, at least in my life, and once again, this may sound a little weird, but it kind of tells me that everything's going according to plan. And I do have hope. Where a lot of other channels don't so much. I do. Why? Because I've been saying people like this need to be revealed to be who they are. Eric Adams, I did. And now what? Here? I mean, and they both dress like the Joker? Right? Take a look at the thumbnail. To me, this says something. But maybe the joke's on them. Back then, when I was doing my show, I was more concerned as it's a joke on us. But maybe the joke's on them. Maybe the Trojan Horse is in. Locked in. X, now, not Twitter, is both a social media place and a crime scene. And then you heard about all of the celebrities, right? You heard about all the celebrities one after the other. They were deleting all their accounts. First it was Usher, and then Usher said that his account was hacked. Then it was like Pink. Then it was somebody else. Then it was somebody else. Somebody even said like the comedian Bobby Lee. All these people. Because this guy who the mayor gave the key to the city to. This guy was like a monster, according to all the things that he's being charged with. I've seen videos of girls that were at these parties and the things that were done to them, mentioning a lot of other names, not just him. It's coming. The reckoning's here. I feel it. I don't think God's going to leave us. I don't think God has left us. I think, if anything, this is the day when you see the Lord do things that you never thought you'd see. How can I not think to myself, wow, that's wild. Take a wild guess. Eric Adams, another If They Be Corrupt success story, 44 weeks exactly from my post about him being corrupt and if he's a scam. let it be revealed. And then 44 weeks later, so strange. You want to see the kooky charges? The kooky charges with this Master Mason from a year earlier? What are the odds? Because now, see, that could tell me something too. Because maybe it's all a big show. Maybe none of it's real. Or maybe he's an innocent man like he's saying he is. Because he finally stood up. He finally stood up and he said, you know, the migrant stuff is a problem. That's what he's using as an excuse. It's amazing. I have to believe, I was talking to a friend of mine, that I have to believe that people can't just make up charges. There has to be a little smoke for them to at least say, okay, there's probably fire. We're going to look into this. His smoke is pretty flammable. Bribery and fraud, accused and engaging in decade-long criminal conspiracy where he allegedly received luxury travel and benefits from a senior Turkish official in exchange for favors. This included pressuring the NYC Fire Department to allow the opening of a new Turkish building without proper inspection, soliciting illegal campaign contributions. What? He's like, hey, give me some money. Were they all corrupt? You know, I worked in the television industry, and I always did the right thing. You know, I never sold out. I didn't go out of my way to like manipulate so that I could get a better. I just let the work speak for itself. When I went to work for this Christian network, this is a true story. And this is no knock on all of them because they didn't know me. I was just some Yankee from New York coming to the South, you know, and their little Piggly Wiggly. And I was going to be, you know, and I was like a new Christian to them. Man, they set me up. They set me up to fail. The producer in there gave me like the worst editor, gave me like, you know, just like everything that you could think of that was thrown your way to make him look bad. I took and I ran with it. And the very first piece that I ever shared on that, it's the biggest #1 Christian network in the world right now, and I love them all dearly, made Joni cry. Made her cry, my piece, I had a poem in it. Who does that, right? All of a sudden, Jacob shows up. It's a different day. It's a different story. So I'm a little bit out there, but I'm telling you something. I feel like if people are corrupt, God is going to be, you know, revealing it. And if you do the right thing and you stop doing the wrong thing, your trouble is going to go away. You may not think that these little things that you do that nobody can see, you may not think, because if you really believe that there was a God, believe me, you wouldn't do it, because you would know that, you know, maybe not doing that drug is going to make you healthier. You know, maybe not drinking as much as you do is going to make you a little less, you know, irritable. Maybe, you know, not justifying taking stuff from the store that you work at because you're like, oh, they don't pay me enough. Maybe, you know, like all of these things that we try to justify. Maybe it's time we got to put it away because it's not going to be tolerable going forward. I feel it. The stuff that this guy has, the implications, huge. He may end up in the same jail as Diddy after all of that. He may. I mean, it sounds strange, but I mean, it's a possibility. The charges against Adams, he's the first New York City mayor to face these kind of charges. The first. This hasn't happened before. This is a weird day that we're in, but it's a good one. It's one that, I mean, look, if the getup doesn't tell you that maybe there's something going on, I don't know. I don't want to like badmouth these organizations. I'm not a member, you know. I know there's a guy at my gym. He's a trainer. He has the ring. He's like a big time Mason, I guess. I don't want to badmouth them, but I don't like secret societies. There's a problem with them. Secret groups, you know, like you can't come to our service unless you are initiated. No, that's not the way God works. There's nothing you need to do. You just need to show up. And you showed up today. So why don't you do me a favor? Smash the like button, baby. Share the channel around. Help this channel to grow. Lift up my arms. That's the old story with, Moses was tired. It was for a younger generation. He was praying. He was doing everything he could to just help Israel out, help all the Israelites out, and they had to hold his arms up. You guys and gals, you hold up my arms, and I'm grateful for it by doing little things like getting yourself the coolest merch ever. Get the hoodie. It's cold. I am a witness, right? You do that. You go to the description of the video. You want to support the channel? Become a member of Patreon. Now we're doing meetups every other week. We're talking. We're gathering. It's amazing. Growing every time. I'm grateful for you. But I'm not shortcutting anybody. I'm not breaking the rules. I'm not lying to people. I'm being a sincere, I want to be a sincere example to you so that you can do the same, because we're going to be the ones that change things. Not going to be the heavy hitters. They're going to come crumbling down. The meek inherits the earth. The meek, the lowly, the humble, the downtrodden. This is the day. I get chills thinking about it, because I got to remind myself when I come on and I look at, oh, the subs are down. Oh, they're never going to let me grow, Lord. I look at this stuff and it bothers me, but I go, I don't know why I'm letting it. Because I know with every fiber of my being that this stuff, it's happening now. It's happening now, and we're going to see so many great things. You got to keep your cool. Keep your cool. Let me show you what first kind of turned me on to the fact that I thought there's something a little bit wrong with Mr. Adams. So he played this video, and you'll see there's like a devil in every video. Now this was, okay, hello. This is like, he's talking about, the celebration, and he was talking about the Caribbean and everything else, but it's like in every clip. I mean, why are there so many? I just found this to be very disturbing. I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. I mean, why? What place does this have in Gracie Mansion? And I'm not talking about the culture and everything else. I'm talking about the fact that this stuff shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be. Rhonda Peterson, you know what I mean? I'm her favorite meatball. I don't like seeing things that are weird. So I see that and my alarm goes off. I go, there's something about this guy. I got to look into this guy a little bit more. And so I did. And it's something, Now, I got more stuff to talk about. I do. But part of me wants to save it maybe so that I can come on live with you tomorrow, because I'm sure I think today we're going to hear even more interesting news. And I don't want it all to be blown. But unless you tell me in the chat, if you say, no, Jacob, I want you to keep going. I want you to keep going. I want to hear now about the stuff that's going on with the Trumpster, because there's a lot of stuff going on with the Trumpster. You tell me. Otherwise, I'm gonna check out. I'm gonna wait. Maybe I should just keep going. Because what if you I think we're on a delay. I could be sitting here for like an hour. All right. So big threat on his life. This is not good. And once again, connected to, as Elon said, the Joker. It's one of these things that is just, it needs to end. We got to stop hearing about all this stuff. And the weird thing is that, okay, so the Time magazine cover that we talked about, long before all this stuff happened at the golf course, where I had, I kind of said to myself, I said something big with the Trumpsters coming, and then I said, you watch Sand is going to be trending, and then Sand was trending, and it was all of that. Well, I put it out. I put out a little thing. You'll see here at the bottom. It says, watch as Sand becomes the news on September 11th. And then if you look to the top right, you'll see it says the second attempt was 2 months, 22 days after the first. And I mean, this is one of these timing things that just doesn't go unnoticed. So I asked people, I asked all of you, I said, there's something to this picture, something to do with Trump. What do you think? And Eddie says, Middle East. Eddie said the Middle East, of all things, right? And so on the show, I did that song from Duran Duran. I think it's Duran, or it was a Flock of Seagulls. I ran so far away. Remember I sang that song? It was all because of Eddie. But now they're saying they have credible threats on this. I mean, this is something that is just a little too much for us to kind of ignore, And I'm going to get into it on tomorrow's show. How about them apples? Because there's more that needs to be discussed. And I love the fact that you're all here. Do me a favor, will you? Hit the like button. Share the channel around. As Pam is saying, October is going to be crazy. Yes. It's, I don't know if you know that we have Rosh Hashanah coming. I think it's Rosh Hashanah. I think it's October 2nd to the 4th because Noah turns, I think he's 24 years old this year. Noah, my son, on October 4th. So we got Rosh Hashanah coming up. We got a lot of stuff happening. And I think today we're going to hear some big news, if not later tonight. So you hit me up on X and you tell me when you hear it. Okay, I love all of you. Thank you very much for being here. If you want to support the channel, you know what to do. Links are in the description. Have the best day ever. Bye-bye.